some of this, man. Like, just look at some of this, man. Just watch some of this. What on earth is this?
I love that part, the little Megalovania section.
Like, how is a normal person supposed to play this?
Decayed by.
And be like, oh yeah, I'm having that much fun. Look at this.
That's fine. Is that it? Nice, okay.
I don't know how you're supposed to do this. Okay. So, I wanted to make my experience on this for a while now. Quite a while. And yes, I'm dressed up a little bit, alright? You don't see me like this very often. I don't like even wearing these type of shirts or this type of stuff at all. But I wanted to kind of, like, show you guys. Not only show, but I wanted to give, like, a little discussion / a little my experience video or whatever the fuck you want to call this. You know, about this topic. Because I feel like I've been playing a lot of Undertale fan games, right? I've been playing so much of them, in fact, in these past couple of weeks. Not only playing them, but I'm also watching, like, Merg go through them. And I have to say, I understand, right? Because I was doing tons of Google research and about this topic, and I understand that, you know, a lot of these Undertale fan games, like, not necessarily like TS Underswap, but I'm talking like fan game fights. I might have to retitle like the thumbnail a little bit, but I wanted to somewhat talk about it because I feel like it is important to really bring up like the facts. It's important to bring up the facts, right? I feel like a lot of Undertale fan-made projects and games and all this other sort of stuff is way too difficult. It's not necessarily like really all that good that we have so many fights. And I get it. I understand a lot of these Undertale Sans fights and stuff that we get all the time or like throughout the years, like throughout the 10 years Undertale has been out. These are games for people that love like a ridiculous hard challenge, that love the idea of challenging themselves to a way harder version of Sans from a different universe or a different timeline or whatever. And, you know, they love putting themselves through that, all right? I understand that to some extent. But I feel like there's a lot of people out there, right, that love Undertale just as much as those guys, but that aren't, like, extremely skilled, right, at those type of fan games like those guys are, right? They're just looking for an Undertale experience that is, or Undertale, it could be either experiences or Undertale fights. It could be either one, right? And they're probably looking for something, hey, I want to do, like, another version of the Sans fight, but I don't want it being, like, ridiculously difficult, like what I see from, like, channels like Merg and other Undertale, like, videos and stuff. I want, like, a Sans fight that is difficult, but also balanced, you know, that it feels balanced. Like, every single mistake you make, like, it's your fault, you know, like, the moves aren't, like, too ridiculous, you know, to go up against. They don't just, you know, like, get you, like, in milliseconds, like, and you're dead or something like that or whatever, right? I don't know, at least that's just how I feel about a lot of these Undertale fan games, right? Is that when I go into them, I go in them with this mindset. Not everyone's going to go into these with this mindset, right? When they, I'm going to give you a better example, right? So, let's use me as an example. I went into these Undertale fan games already with the notion that I suck. I'm not good at a lot of these fan games, but I'm going to play them anyway to see what it's all about, you know? Not the whole fight, but I'm going to see what it's about. Maybe give them small little promotions / little shoutouts to go play the game for themselves. See if they can be way better than me at it or something like that. Since I already have that mindset going into it, like, already, you know, I'm not really worried about necessarily, like, beating a lot of these fan games. I'm just wanting to try them out. You know, try them out for the one time, and then be like, alright, I'm a dip. But for somebody else, they might want to, like, not only get on with it, but they also might want to beat that. But then they're going to see all these ridiculous other moves, like 1 second split reaction times you're going to need, or like you need to be pixel perfect, or you need to be a few frames from perfection to even just get through, or you don't have enough health, and it's like, I feel like we need to make more Sans fights out there a lot more balanced. Not just for players like me, but I feel like, well, actually, yeah, just for players like me that aren't like, that can't just get with the program or spend like hours bashing their heads into walls for a freaking Sans fight that's not even fucking canon, first of all. I mean, shit. I mean, and I know, Alan, look at you talking. I thought you said you didn't give a fuck about, like, going in. Yes, that's true. I don't give a fuck. But at the same time, I would appreciate, and I know hundreds of others would appreciate, if you just made some Sans fights. I'm not trying to say, hey, completely make Sans fights that are easier than the original fight. Go ahead and do that. Berate the fucking Undertale community with that. I'm not trying to say that at all. What I'm saying is I feel like Undertale Sans fights, it can be Sans fights, it can be Papyrus fights, or Undyne. It doesn't have to specifically be Sans, right? It doesn't have to be any of those. It doesn't have to just be Sans specifically, right? Because I feel like we just need to make them a little bit easier. Not just like a little bit, like a lot easier. They again, like I said, I just feel like they need to be. They need to be. Because we already have an imbalance. And I've noticed this already by not only watching Merv's channel all the time and seeing all the Undertale fan fights he went through, but a lot of these are not balanced. It feels like the only reason some of these people even beat these Undertale fan games or fan game fight things or whatever you want to call them is because they developed it themselves. They know all the ins and outs and they know how to do it, right? And I'm not trying to say, again, I'm not trying to shit on people who make their Sans fights too difficult, but I would appreciate if there's some type of balance. And this is another thing I have an issue with. When people say, hey, put this on easy mode, we'll make it easy mode and then call it at that. And then do little to nothing to change the fight to make it easier for the player. All they give you is to make it easy mode, is to increase your invincibility slash intangibility frames, or, you know, something. Or maybe some fan games out there increase the health, you know, a little bit. But I feel like they don't increase it enough, or they don't just make the fights in general a little bit more easier to manage. Because I'm watching Merg, right? For weeks on end, I've been watching Merg 24/7 do these fan game fights. And all I see is just moves that are literally, for me, if I played, these moves are impossible for me to see. These moves are ridiculous for me to see. How am I gonna, like, if I ever played this, how am I gonna manage how am I gonna do that? You know what I'm saying? Like, how am I gonna do that? How am I gonna fight Disbelief Papyrus? Or how am I gonna do this version of this, that version of that? And also, I know there's different versions of the same character fights, but like for mobile or different devices and stuff. But I really wanted to come out here and talk about it because I feel like nobody is talking about this. No one is making videos like dedicated to, hey, you know what? Undertale fans, you know, trying to talk to the community in a peaceful way, saying, hey, can you maybe tone it down, or maybe make some fan games that are a little bit lighter on the person that is like maybe an average consumer of Undertale and they just want something real quick to pick up and play real fast and then put down. Like, I get it. Like, you want to put everything you've ever had into your fights to make them entertaining for people, because I know, like, a lot of Undertale fans are into that hardcore fight shit because, like, the Sans fight awoken something in them, and I can't necessarily blame them because the Sans fight awoken something in me too. Like, I wanted to do that's the reason why I did fan games too, is because the Sans fight was so fucking cool to me anyway that I decided to do like Undertale fan games and stuff. But like, just take a look at some stuff, man. Like stuff like this. What is this? This is a great like, look at that, bro. Screen goes different, Papyrus no longer believes in you, dude. And then you're sitting there like, what's good? I'm also on a Merg video, by the way. You see this shit. He's like, let me know if it hurts. Look how fast some of that is. And then look at this. What, like, honest to God, tell me what 90% of players are doing against this. Tell me. I honest to God really want to know. Most, like, Undertale players that aren't cracked, that haven't played, like, any fan games, are not getting through this. You know what they're going to do? They're going to turn off the game and leave. Like, because I know. This is what I would do. If I saw Disbelief Papyrus, I mean, I would give it a few tries because I'm interested, but I know there's people out there, right, that have played Undertale, that want to play even more Undertale, but they already beat Deltarune, like, up to the current point that it's at right now, which is, in this video, it would be Chapter 4, right, at this point. By the way, thank you for 4,560 subscribers. I appreciate that, but that's exactly my point. Like, a lot of people are going to see that move that Disbelief Papyrus just did, and you know what they're going to do? They're going to get up out of their chair, like I am right now. They're going to get up, and I'm going to tell you this right now. They're going to open this door, and they're going to dip. They're not going to play that, you know? They're going to close the door, and guess what? They're going to do something else entirely, bro. They're going to be like, damn, I mean, I know this fan game is for free. At least I didn't pay it. Like, imagine someone paid money for that, you know? Like, that's ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? And I just feel like if we can just make, like, more Undertale fan games that have, like, a little bit more balance to them, a little bit more, like, ease the player into the fight, instead of just saying, hey, let's throw literally everything at the player, or something that makes it bad shit insane. Like Gaster Blaster spams, like 5 Gaster Blasters at once, spam shots, and you have to go all the way down to the bottom of the screen. But most players aren't going to be able to react to a million Gaster Blasters being fired, like, in 2.5 seconds. Not everyone's going to do that. You know what everyone's going to do? They're going to die and be, like, wondering how the fuck they died. How did I go from max HP, which, depending on the fan game, it could be, like, 40, it could be 50, it could be 92, like, original genocide route, or it could be, like, even less than that, or way more than that, like in the health in the 100s, or something like that, right? And I feel like I'm sitting there like, how is someone supposed to enjoy these, you know, without, like, having my mindset where it's like they don't really necessarily give a fuck about beating it, okay? They just necessarily give a fuck about, hey, you know what, let me give it a try and see how it is, see how it goes. Why not give it a try, you know? Like, if you have my mindset, you won't feel anything when you die in these fan games. But Crunchdown was the greatest game ever. Never played it. I never even heard of it. But anyways, and I feel like that's, like, my issue with a lot of these fan games. And not only that's my issue, but one of my other big issues is a lot of these fan games are not compatible with a Bluetooth controller. And I know a lot of these Undertale fan games that are made with PC in mind, you know, and but and I mean this. This bothers me, right? Because I go into so many Undertale fan games. By the way, Hiroshi, hey Alex, I'm applied to where your brother's working. Oh shit, that's what's up. But I'm telling you, the pay is not all that. So I'm just gonna let you know. You know. But anyways, this controller shit, I'm gonna be so honest. I want to use controller on a lot of these games. You know, because I played all of Undertale, all of Deltarune, with a controller in my hand, with a controller, right? And I know a lot of people are going to be like, Alan, get with the program, learn WASD. I haven't used a computer in God knows how long, man. I'm a gamer using a controller. That's my preferred style, man. Not no point and click, all right? Where I just sit there using keyboard controls. All right, I would appreciate if a lot more fan games actually gave a fuck about the person, hey, Bluetooth. And I also understand, like, they can't implement it because reasons, like, it might be extremely difficult to implement Bluetooth controller, like, wireless connection to a lot of these games or something like that. But seriously, please, a lot more fan games need to implement Bluetooth controllers, okay? And this is for PC and mobile Undertale fan games. Please fucking, like, get with the program, please, and add Bluetooth support. God damn. Because I'm tired of playing those games without Bluetooth and always having to touch the shit. It's kind of annoying because I know I'm not doing it at my best, you know, without like some type of controller and stuff, right? Another issue I have is that a lot of the fan games that again put easy mode into their games is, again, like I mentioned before, it's not actually easy mode. They just give you a little bit more invincibility frames or a little bit more health. That doesn't make the fight easier. That makes the fight like, hey, maybe I get to live a little bit longer, and then after that, I'm dead already, regardless. You know, it doesn't really necessarily help the fact that I'm maybe enjoying this or I can get through this a little bit more. It's just keeping you alive for like, I don't know, 2, 3, depending on your skill level, like 4 or 5 seconds longer, maybe a whole minute longer, depending on the fan game that we're playing in question, right? But anyways, that's what I find annoying. And if you're going to have an easy mode, then make it easy mode. And also, another thing I really dislike, this also goes about the whole easy mode in these fan games, don't bash somebody for playing on easy mode, you know? Some fan games out here really are on that dickhead energy that I've noticed. When you use easy mode, they don't give you, like, the full access to the entire fight. They give you access to only a chunk of the fight, and then they call it off. They say, hey, guess what? Because you're not playing normal mode, we're going to punish you by, like, hey, guess what? You don't get the whole fight. Why not just give us the entire fight and give us the difficulty we want to choose? I mean, I'm just going to say this. What if I wanted to give your fan game a try 1 or 2 times? And I said, okay, I got work tomorrow, or I got places to be tomorrow, but I have a little bit of time to play this Undertale fan game I got, where, hey, this Sans fight looks cool, I want to play it, I put it on easy, I go into it, I play it for a little bit, I learn some things, and then I die. Or actually, I learned it, I actually said, oh my god, this was the hardest shit on the planet, you know, and then they say, guess what, hey, demo's over, buddy. Yeah, you have to get good to play the whole thing of this. Why? Again, I can't stress that enough. I got places to be tomorrow. All right? I applied for 15 jobs, and I'm about to go to my 17th interview right now. I don't got time to get better at this, you know? I got real life I got to go take care of. And then again, like I said, with the whole moves and shit, this is why I say we need more of a balance, man. Because it's like, how am I supposed to figure out how to fucking handle 17 Gaster Blasters firing at me all at once? Or the orange and blue moves. How the fuck am I going to handle those type of Gaster Blasters? And not only those Gaster Blasters, but how the fuck do you expect me to figure out shit coming at me at Mach 1 speeds? If you don't just slow the move down, or at least give the player time to dodge some of these attacks, or at least make them interesting but not too difficult to figure out for a first-time player, that would be nice. Not everybody can think of how to dodge a Gaster Blaster from like 2.5 seconds in a flash. It takes them a couple of tries. And also, another thing I have a serious issue with a lot of these fan game fights is the length. I really dislike the length of these fan game fights being 9-10 minute fights. Not every single Sans, like, fan fight has to be 10 or 2 times as long as the original. You can make it just as long as the original, or maybe even shorter than the original Sans fight. And also, another thing that bothers me is when you use a healing item in that fight just to kind of keep yourself alive so you can keep on going. Another thing that bothers the fuck out of me is healing, when you eat a healing item, right? I call these health attacks. Basically, the game punishes you in a way by giving you, like, you get to eat the food, but it also counts as an attack that drags out the fight even longer in some fan games, or doesn't even push it forward necessarily. Like, motherfucker, allow me to heal and then continue to the next turn anyway. So I can, like, see the next move and see the fight through to the end. Just let me heal in peace instead of having, like, this heal attack where I have to fucking dodge an attack just because I wanted to heal for 2 seconds. Now I have to go through a crazy move each and every single time I heal? That is a little ridiculous. And keep in mind, I've only been playing fan games for, like, what? 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or something like that. Maybe tops. And I've been seeing, I mean, I know on YouTube I've only been streaming it for like maybe a week or two, but I've been playing a couple fan games for a while now, and at least watching them time and just seeing how each fan game operates. It's ridiculous. And it makes me wonder, like, you know what? I wonder how many people crash the fuck out when fighting this version of Sans, or this version of Papyrus, or that version of Undyne, or that version of Asgore. Because I know Asgore has a couple of very difficult fan games, but not a lot of people make fights about Asgore, or a lot of people mostly make fan game fights about maybe like Undyne, Papyrus, or Sans or something. Mostly Sans, because the Sans fight in regular Undertale was just so goddamn good. But anyways, I preferred third-person view. I understand that, like where you can see the character, have control of the character. I understand. Ukraine flag Daima. Hi, how you doing? Welcome to stream. Just talking about Undertale fan games and why they should be toned down. But these are just some of the things that really bothers me when I, talk about Undertale fan games. When I'm making this video, is they just bother me because of that. I mean, God. And another thing that bothers me is, when they do the whole easy thing, right? They don't, commit, and they don't give you an idea of how you want your experience to be. They just say, do it or get the fuck out. I mean, I understand that energy to some extent, right? Because that's how a lot of games, that's how a lot of Undertale games like to work, like to operate, is, hey, you either do the fight or you leave the fight. I'm not going to make no fucking settings, but I really feel like people really should start making these settings and start thinking about the newer Undertale people, or better yet, the Deltarune people that wanted to give, they probably don't have enough money for Undertale or something, which I think Undertale's $15 or something. But anyways, not a lot of people have money up to their amount of money up to their disposal. So think about the Deltarune players. They're like, okay, bet I want to try Undertale, but maybe some fan games first or something, because you never know what people's mindsets are about to be. And they try them, and they're like, what the fuck is this? This makes the Roaring Knight look like a bitch, or something like that. What the fuck? Why are all these guys on Roaring Knight level? Or Spampton Neo Snowgrave level? Or the fucking Titan from the end of Chapter 4 level? What the fuck? What is this shit? Fuck this shit. I'm about to go back to playing Deltarune, or I'm about to go play something a little easier or something. I don't know. These fan games are a little intimidating to get into. And then you wonder as well, on top of that, how many people watch Merg's videos and actually be like, you know what? I'm not going to do that fan game. That fan game looks too tough for me. But I'm going to enjoy watching Merg do it, because I enjoy doing that. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm just saying, if you're gonna make Sans fights, or Sans battles, or Papyrus battles, or Undyne, just think about this video for a second. I understand why people make them bad shit hard. They want to try to prove that their fight's the hardest there ever was in terms of a Sans fight and stuff. And some people like their games bad shit hard. But I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna say this time and time again. Not every single person loves their Undertale fights as ridiculous as some of these fights that a lot of people have made decades to years ago. And I'm just saying, also, please release them for Android and mobile users and iOS users. They're Undertale and Deltarune fans too, and I really feel like PC really should not be the only thing that, gets fan games. I really feel like Android, at least Android and iOS users deserve to, at least deserve fucking some fan games, you know what I'm saying? And at least let them know, hey, I got a mobile, Undertale fan game you can check out and play for fun and stuff like that. Just check it out. I made 3 easy fights, regular enemy encounters. Oh, shit, that's what's up, bro. That's what's up, bro. That's what's up, Ukraine flag. That's what's up, bro. But I'm just saying, I wanted to make this video for a while now. Just not only mention what bothers me about Undertale fan games, but just send a message. Make some of them easier. It doesn't have to be every single fan game, but I'm just saying, let's balance it out between really difficult and maybe average difficulty. I'm not trying to say make the fight the easiest thing in the world, but we gotta stop making these Undertale fan games the hardest things on the planet. It's kind of annoying, Because just imagine being me, right? Where you go in every day or every other day to try to find Undertale fan games that look interesting just for you to die in 5 minutes. Come on, man. Come on. And again, there's also people out there as well that are really, like, that don't want to learn, like, patterns all day. Or pattern recognition. Or maybe they have bad memories and you're somewhat punishing those people that decide to play your game by, you know, not always being on top of the patterns 24/7, 7 days a week like this, like snaps. It's ridiculous. And that also goes into my last point when I talked about length of fights. Like, you're telling me I not only need to survive for 7 to 8 minutes, but each attack is arguably worse than the last one. I gotta remember how bad that attack is versus how easy this attack is or that attack is? Fuck that shit. How am I gonna remember something that is from like 7 to 8 minutes ago? You know what I'm saying? That's ridiculous. But again, I don't want to ramble on too much about this. I got this nice ass shirt on. I don't have that many shirts left. Actually, I don't have shirts at all left, but you get it. I just wanted to rant about Undertale fan games for a little bit, for 20 minutes or so, maybe 30 minutes, just to kind of give y'all an idea of how I feel about them. They good. They good. Trust me, they're good. They're really good fan games, and I admire the ambition a lot of these Undertale fans have. Okay, I'm not trying to step down on them or try to say your game is stupid, it's bad, or whatever. But I'm just saying I would appreciate it if a lot more people made easier Undertale fan games, you know? And I know people are probably going to tell me in the comments of this later on, maybe when this gets uploaded or if it gets to the algorithm. You just have a skill issue, bro. Get better. And like I said earlier in the video, not a lot of people want to just sit there for 24 hours, maybe 7 months, trying to master one of these fights, okay? They just want to have a good-ass time, enjoy the game, and get the fuck off and live their life. No, people can't do that. They need to stay inside, sweat all day, and, you know, spend, like, multiple hours on this shit, not actually taking care of their health. Okay, we'll do just that, just for you. That one toxic-ass dude in the chat, we'll do that just for you. No, fuck that. I'm about to go outside and have a nice walk, bitch. Anyways, thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, favorite, share the video with your friends. I don't know if I'm going to be streaming again, but I just wanted to make that point very clear. That's how I feel about Undertale fan games and fan fights that are too damn difficult. Balance it the fuck out, please, and make some fan games that are enjoyable and not like the hardest thing on the planet. Please. Fuck. Have a good day, y'all. Oh, this